Thank you for joining us. So today we will have a very efficient, hopefully, and useful meeting. So thanks for coming over and joining the meeting. So Ali, when you are ready, you can run the meeting. Thank you.
Should I start? Who will start the first one?
So the
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me now?
Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Ali. Go ahead.
Happy Eid to you all. Today, the 24th of July. Welcome to the Telegeriatric research meeting. So, agenda for today will be Dr. Hudud Ahmed from the Orange team will present how to start the case study project. Then Khalid Osman will present a tutorial about SPSS. After that, Sarah Ahmed is going to present volunteering, Red Cross or other organizations, followed by presenting prior case report by me, Ahmed, and we will set agenda for the next meeting. So, Dr. Farouk, if you are ready, you can start presenting the case study. Available?
Yes, Dr. Ali.
Okay, so when you're ready, you can share your screen and send to us the case report, case study report.
Okay, I just try to do something. This for today only. Sorry for that. I don't know if it's just it's not maybe involve all the study or like that. I just started with case control study and I just get some informations and points. I hope it will be helpful. So if I did any mistake or anything,
No worries.
I share my screen. I don't know it's a specific thing I did or I did something else, but I did the case control study and how to conduct a case control study. Is that good?
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's what we need. Yes.
Okay. Allow me to share.
If anyone has any questions or comments or additions, please use the chat box. Also raise your hands if you want to add something. Thank you.
Okay, sorry for that. Is it clear now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's clear.
Yes, I want somewhere for presentation. Maybe the slide's not is good. So I have to start now. By the way, okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everybody and happy Eid for all. Do you hear me good?
Yes.
Yes. I'm going to just present how to conduct a case control study. Okay. So I have to start with the overview of study designs as general, as epidemiological study designs. Depends on An investigator assign exposure. That's under yes or no. If it will be no, this is we are just dealing with observational study. It's a comparison group. Also yes or no. If it's no, it's a descriptive study. If it's yes, it's analytical study, and we just ask about directions. It's exposed and outcome at the same time. It's a cross-sectional study, and we'll see also here when we'll start with the outcome, and we will deal with the exposure in the past. It's a case control study, and the cohort study, which was deal starting with exposure, and then we will just find the outcome. And now we will go up here as general. Experimental study, it's random collection, yes or no. If it's no, this is a non-randomized controlled trial. Or if it is yes, it's randomized controlled trial. We'll see also hierarchy of epidemiological study design. As general also will generate hypothesis to establish the causality, and it's divided to just case reports and case series and ecological studies and cross-sectional studies, case controlled studies, cohort studies, and randomized controlled trials. Okay, here also we will just look at observational studies as a category of epidemiological study designs. So we'll see here in the cohort study, we'll just find the exposure, then we will say to outcome. And in our case control study, we'll just focus on outcome and what the previous exposure, and we'll just find out what's going on. And here's a cross-sectional study. It is exposure outcome. And this is the timeline for each study. Here we just find definition of case control study. Some details. Okay. A case control study is designed to help determine if an exposure is associated with outcome, disease, or condition of interest. And it is a type of observational study, actually, in which we have two groups differing in outcome are identified, and we have to compare on the bias of some supposed causal attribute. In the case control study, we are often used to identify the factors that may contribute to the medical condition, comparing to subjects who have that condition, a disease, that's called cases, with patients who do not have the condition or disease, but are otherwise similar. They're called controls. And they require fewer resources, and just that we can see later in the advantage and disadvantage. As we said here, and we know this is a case control study, we will just look at the outcome, then we will just see the past or present, exposure on exposure or non-exposure, and this is population with outcome, the cases, and this is the population without outcome, the controls. The sample of control here in sample of cases, and we'll see the outcome here in the cases and no outcome in the control. As general also, this is analytical studies, this is a cohort and case control study. Analytical study, that comparative studies, testing and hypothesis. The cohort is prospective. We'll not take it now at this point. We will just focus on case control study, the retrospective study, and it's called also TROHAC. Begins with outcome, like we have cases of cancer cases and healthy controls. We'll just compare and find out the results. So we have to go now for advantage of case control studies. It is cheap, easy, and quick studies. It has multiple exposures, can be examined. Rare diseases and diseases with long latency can be studied also. Suitable when randomizations is unethical, like an alcohol and pregnancy outcome. This is like just example. The disadvantage of case control studies, case and control selections troublesome and subject to bias, selection, recall, misclassifications. This all can be just disadvantaged. Direct incidence estimation is not possible. Temporal relationship is not clear. Multiple outcomes cannot be studied. That means I cannot study multiple disease in one occasion. It's only just focus on one disease or one condition. If the incidence of exposure is high, it is difficult to show the difference between cases and controls. It's not easy to estimate attributable fractions. So it is not deal by like relative risk like that. It's only deal with the odd ratio. So that's the problem. Reverse causation is a problem in interpretation, especially in molecular epidemiology studies. This also listed in the disadvantage. Okay, now we will see the association, the impact of this study, epidemiological association impact measures. This is as general, absolute risk and relative risk ratio and odd ratio. And we have here the case control study, it deals with odd ratio. As I said, it is not dealing with relative risk. So we cannot examine or just detect more than one disease. We also look at the measures of test accuracy, sensitivity, and specificity, and positive and negative predictive values as well. This pre-presentation, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Claude, for this presentation. I don't see any question in the chat. The presentation was precise and accurate. Thank you.
If any comments, anything, any advice, anything to improve it, I will be very happy.
Okay. If anyone has any comments or feedback, please raise your hand. Okay. So we have Dr. Telegeriatric, please.
Assalamu alaikum everybody and كل عام وانتم بخير. It's not a question as a matter of fact, I want to let Dr. Ali knows, barely we can hear you. I'm not sure if there is something you can do for your audio setting.
Yes,
that's at my end. I'm not sure if everybody else having the same problem.
Yes, we can barely hear Ali.
Yes, Ali.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Dr. Khulud.
Thanks so much, Dr. Mohammed Tijani.
Thank you, Dr. Khulud, for this nice presentation. It is precise and is to the point. It was really very beneficial.
Thank you so much for it. Thank you, Dr. Ali. Thank you, Dr. William.
Can you hear me now well, or still with some difficulties?
A little bit
We can't hear
better.
you, Ali.
Okay.
You hear about the
okay, I will try to solve this. In the meantime, if you have any
Now it's better.
questions.
Now it's
Okay.
better.
Okay, that's good. So I will check the chat box. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand again or type your questions in the chat box.
Thank you so much, Dr. Khulud. That was a great presentation, very concise and to the point, very helpful. Thank you so much. Great job.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I don't see any questions. So maybe we can move on to the next part. Later on, if we have questions, we are going to go back to Dr. Khulud. Thank you, Dr. Khulud, again. And now we have the SPSS tutorial by Dr. Khalid Osman. Khalid, are you ready?
Yes.
I think you should stop sharing your screen now. Okay, Khalid, you are ready.
Okay. So can you see my screen?
Yes,
Yes.
we can.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to walk you through how to import data from an Excel sheet and also how to export into SPSS, of course, and also how to export data or results of your analysis into Microsoft Word or Google document. So I've made an Excel sheet. Just a second. I'm sorry, it's taken a long time. I don't know why. Okay, so it's finally open. I've made this sheet which has three variables: total WBCs, platelets, and hemoglobin levels. Just a second, it just keeps opening. Yes. So I think we're finally here. So these are the three variables, and I've made it for hypothetical 14 patients. It's important that you close your Excel sheet before you can import it into SPSS, because it's so open you wouldn't be able to.
So meanwhile, Khalid is tackling or fixing the technical problem here. I think we can go over some of the basics of the data management of the files. So we have the Excel file, or we have Google file, We talked about that yesterday, last time. We have the spreadsheet. It's like column and rows. And these files, you can save them as Excel file. I'm going to share with you the screen here. So what happened is you have the file will have first row with the columns. Each column has a variable, let's say first name, last name, city, state, country. And then each row will have some data from the record or from the person or from the items that you want to. For instance, the first line will be about myself, Nader Abrahman, the state, the city. And then the second line will be someone else, and the third line will be someone else. All this will be in a spreadsheet, which is like just column and cells. This is Excel file or Google Sheet. You can save it in your desktop or your computer, and then you can upload that file. There is a different way to download your file from Excel or from Google Sheet. One way to do is to save them as a text file. The one we are seeing here in the screen, it's text file. You can use Notepad or any document reading software. It can read the file for you. You don't have to open it in Excel. You don't have to open it in Google Sheet or other. It's just the basic text reader. And there are two ways to do that. One of them is comma separated variables file. It's called CSV. And that what happened is you connect each variable with the next one and separate them with a comma. So it will be Nadir, comma, Abdurrahman, comma, Lancy, comma, Michigan, comma. That's the common way of saving your files into a text file instead of Excel and so forth. So in the future, you might have some data sent to you, or you can send to someone else your data in a comma separated file. The third or the other type is tab separated file. By tab, in your keyboard on the upper left hand, there is a tab. Where you press it, it will move the cursor one tab. You move it again, it goes to another tab. And this, you can separate your variables and the data using this tab separated file. So there are a couple of ways to save your file, and you can export or import this type of file to any reader if you don't have Excel file. That's what I want to share with you. But for the tutorial now, we were talking about Excel file. We save it as Excel and then upload it or import it to SPSS from an Excel file sheet. And then vice versa. If you want to go back from SPSS, you can save it as Excel file, and then you can open it in Excel software. Thank you. Ali, if you are ready, you can go ahead. Or Khalid, sorry.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry, I lost internet connection. Ali also lost it, or using the same Wi-Fi. So just check my screen again. I can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know where exactly I lost the connection. I'll walk you through what I said earlier. So this is an Excel sheet that I've made. It has 3 variables: hemoglobin, platelets, and WBCs for 14 hypothetical patients. So if I want to import the data from this Excel sheet and analyze it, it's very simple. I go into File, and then Open. I choose Data, and then I will search for my file. So you should make sure the file type here is what you're looking for. There are different formats. So I want to upload Excel. I choose Excel, and then it's up here. So, and then you open it. After a few seconds, a window will pop up with some options. If it doesn't show, make sure that you close the Excel sheet. So it's not open. If it's open, SPSS cannot load the data from it. So this window pops up. This is a worksheet. Just going to say OK to these default settings. So this is the data. I'm sorry for the computer being slow. I think having the Zoom meeting and the SPSS is too much for it. This is the data shown right here. The hemoglobin, total WBCs, and platelets. I'm just going to change the scale to the measure here to scale. And this is the variable view. You can see the data view here. These are our different patients and these are their values. So now it's uploaded into SPSS. So we can do an analysis. Maybe we can do descriptive statistics. Let's go with frequencies. After I do the analysis, I will show you how to export the analysis result into a Word document. We move our variables here, the variables that we want to analyze. We can go over statistics here. Let's pick mean, median, and mode and make it into quartiles. Also standard deviation, minimum, and maximum. We can also choose to show a chart, histogram, and also show normal curve. So wait a few seconds for it to analyze the data. So this is the data. As you can see here, this is the hemoglobin, the total WBCs, and the platelets. We have no missing data. This is the mean for the hemoglobin, for the total WBCs, and for the platelets, the mode, and the standard deviation, minimum, maximum, and the percentiles. So these are frequency tables for hemoglobin, total WBCs, platelets. If we go down, we will see our histogram. Now it's here. This is the hemoglobin, and here it shows the frequency. So 4 people had a hemoglobin of 12, and 1 had a hemoglobin of 10, and so on. So we have our data ready here, whatever type of analysis you've done. Now we can export it if you want to into a Microsoft Word. We'll just go to File again and click on Export. You can set this the default. I think it will be oriented perfectly this way. The name of the document, you can change it here. It's output, and where it's going to be saved documents. Let's click OK. So now it's ready. You can view the Word file in documents. So that's it. So here we can see our analysis results in Word format. These are the statistics, frequency tables that we saw earlier. And here we can see our histogram also. So that's basically it on how to import and export data into Excel. Thank you, and if you have any questions that I would be able to answer, feel free to ask.
Thank you, Khalid. for this demonstration. I have one question in the chat box, but I think it's Dr. Nadir. So Dr. Dajel Asfia is asking, if my data is a table in Word document or PDF, can I convert it easily to CSV, or should I write it one by one?
That's a great question. Thank you, Khalid, for the presentation or the tutorial. For a document from Word or from PDF to be converted to CSV, there is different ways. One, from the Word itself, you can, if it's already in a table, you can just read it in Excel, for instance, and then convert it to CSV if you want. So it will be, instead of one step, you take a middle step in the middle. For the PDF file, there is a way, I think Google document or Google's Drive, if you upload the PDF, it has a reader. In that, it will convert the PDF file into Word or into Excel file. And then from there, you can handle the table that you want to convert into CSV. So there are some couple of ways to do it. It's doable. If it's a small table, you can type it yourself. But if it's a big table, and usually what I do is just use either convert to Excel or upload it to Google, and Google will read it for me, and then use Excel or Word or whatever I want to do with the table. So that's the way. Good question.
Thank you, Dr. Nadir. I have a question for Khalid also. Can we export the data itself to Excel? Like if I want to do some graphs in Excel, it's just the results.
Yes, it is doable. Instead of Microsoft Word, you are just going to choose Excel, and it will be transported the same way.
Okay, great. Thank you. I don't see any raised hand or questions. So, if you have questions, please provide it in the chat box. And now we are going to move to the third part, which will be presented by Dr. Sarah Ahmed. Topic is about volunteering in Red Cross or other organizations. So, Dr. Sarah, if you are ready, you can start. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Ahmed. I am really happy to present for you a presentation about volunteering in Red Cross. Let me know if you hear me well.
Yes, I do.
Can hear you, Sarah.
Volunteering in Red Cross. So let us talk first about the history of the American Red Cross. It's a part of the world's largest volunteer network, found in nearly 200 countries. It was founded by Clara Barton and in Washington, D.C. On 1881. The American Red Cross received first congressional charter in 1900 and the second in 1905, and it has developed during the First and Second Wars. The supporters, volunteers, and employees of the American Red Cross provide compassionate care in 5 critical areas. First is for people affected by disasters in America, and to support members of the military and their families, blood collection, processing and distribution, health and safety education and training, and international relief and development. Just to highlight that the American Red Cross depends mostly on volunteers to provide the help in these 5 critical areas. There is an employees, but still the volunteers are the main providers of the services. So the mission statement of the American Red Cross is to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of volunteer and the generosity of donors. So it's mainly depending on the volunteer and the donors. The vision statement of the American Red Cross is through its strong network of volunteers, again, volunteers and donors and partners, and it's always there in the time of need. And they aspire to turn compassion into action to help all people affected by disaster across the country and around the world, make sure that they receive care, shelter, and hope. And communities, make sure that communities are ready and prepared for disasters, make sure that everyone in the country has access to safe, life-saving blood and blood products, and all members of the armed services and their families find support and comfort whenever needed. And in case of emergency, make sure that there is trained individual around, have their Red Cross skills to save lives. So there is fundamental principles of the Global Red Cross Network. Those fundamental principles are humanity, impartiality, neutrality, independence, and voluntary service, unity, and universality. Those are the fundamental principles of the Global Red Cross Network worldwide. Just the next slide. I'm just going to the next slide. Yeah, so to volunteer with the American Red Cross, you can visit the website www.redcross.org. Volunteer, become a volunteer. You will only need to enter your zip code to view the available opportunities in your area. There is an orientation in the website for lasts for 45 minutes that will give you an idea of the type of work and the training you get to prepare you to be a part of the American Red Cross. The most needed volunteer opportunities currently are blood collection support. You will be either a blood donor ambassador volunteer or a transportation specialist volunteer. So as a blood donor ambassador volunteer, you will engage donors by greeting, registering, answering questions, and providing information, supporting them through the recovery process as well at the refreshment table. The special attention you would provide that will help create a favorable impression that encourages ongoing donor support. If you are working as a transportation specialist volunteer, you will need, you will be the critical link, like transferring the blood from the donors to the delivering blood or platelet to the hospital where it's needed. Other area that is on huge demand currently is a disaster action team, where you help in the disaster areas Single and multi-family fires account for 90% of disaster responses. So you mainly help with the single and multi-family fires mainly. You can be part of a team that helps and respond to over 60,000 emergencies every year, offering a caring and compassionate ear to meeting the disaster-caused needs of individuals and households. The most important area I am focusing here about which would be very helpful for all of us you can volunteer from home. There is virtual positions available depending again on your area after entering like your zip code in the website. In the time of disaster or social isolation, it can be difficult for people to leave their homes to volunteer in the community. Even while staying home, there is an opportunity to support the Red Cross mission virtually. There is a wide range of volunteer opportunities in which volunteers can engage remotely. In our area, like as a doctors, I know all of us are doctors here, we can give like a great help through the phone for to support people on disasters with the COVID situation currently. You can give like advices. There's a lot of people might need compassion, might need help, might need advice, might need to give to guide them through this stressful time. There is mental health lines as well, where you can provide support, emotional support, and help that for people on need. There is other volunteer opportunities available. You can work behind the scene where your role could be administrative, office support, scheduling shift for your fellow volunteers, or supply chain management to ensure disaster relief operation have the necessary supplies and equipment. You can work you can face the clients if you want, and your role will be like working with the families after home fire, helping people to locate their loved one after a war or natural disaster, assisting military families with emergency communication and other services. You can help in communication. We can work like with your local media or tell Red Cross stories through marketing, social media, or photography. You can help also through finance and fundraising, where you connect with donors, work with military members who apply for emergency financial assistance, or help with accounting and financial controls. It's an area where we can work as well as an instructor or presenter as a doctor, where you can teach life-saving skills, educate your community about disaster preparedness, or teach children what to do in case of a home fire. It's either in person or online courses. Your skills will help make your community stronger and more resilient. You can work in IT. You can be like helping like small team fellow volunteer, act as an advisor to a Red Cross club for youth, or support local Red Cross services by joining an advisory board or the board of directors. Your role can be like help matching new volunteers roles where they will thrive, and to encourage volunteer engagement, or to ensure that critical efforts like blood drives and veterans hospital are fully staffed, like you'll be like working in team empowerment. Here, an example of volunteer work. During the pandemic.
We are assisting OHSU in their vaccination efforts. So we are helping to move to 1A group and anyone else that needs their vaccinations today. So we've been playing a part in that. You know, everyone is so positive, and anyone that's coming through the line, I have never seen so many people excited to get vaccinated, and that has been I mean, it's a celebratory atmosphere. It really is. It's a little bittersweet, but again, I couldn't be happier because my father didn't have the chance to get vaccinated. So I lost him about 6 months ago. So I'm happy to be a part of this because it means that there's a family out there that doesn't have to go through the grief of losing that family member. I'm proud to be a representative of the Red Cross and being able to offer that bit of hope to families out here. Because again, there's a family out there somewhere who doesn't have to experience grief because they're out getting vaccinated today. And if the Red Cross can play a small part in that and offer that bit of hope, I am more than willing to be out here, as all these volunteers are.
All right, and congratulations. This will be your first dose of the vaccination.
You see cheers erupting among the crowds. You see people in their cars that are smiling. You can see the smiles in their eyes. And there's these thumbs up. There's people just waving their hands in the air, excited. I mean, truly excited to know that there's something beyond what's happening today, that there's hope beyond. You know, if you can make a difference, then do it. And you can do that with the Red Cross.
So just if you, as she said, what she said, if you have time and if you can make a difference, you go and volunteer with the Red Cross. I think it's really great opportunity to help the community and help the people in need. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sandra, for this very wonderful presentation. Dr. Nadir, do you have any comments or additions?
So this is really great presentation. Thank you for sharing with us. And what I think it covers a lot, and it's very important that we understand the concept is that you volunteer your time, even 1 hour a week, couple of hours a week, it will make a difference in this organization. Let's start with Red Cross education, for instance. Your knowledge in medicine will be really appreciated, and you can learn from them as well. You can volunteer, as Sarah mentioned, as a leader or as a consultant, educator, facilitator. So you can do many things with your knowledge and your skills at this level, and it's really needed in certain areas. And you don't have to go physically, you can do that online virtually. It's the same way we are doing now. Besides, it will help you get to know what people are doing and learn new skills, new communication skills, and networking and connection. And in your resume, it will help you when you apply. You will be able to talk about what volunteer work you did. So Red Cross is one example, and there are other organizations that you can also volunteer if you want to approach. So in the app, we have a couple of suggestions. You want to look at this and see which area you are interested and how much time you want to spend. But thank you. Excellent. Good job, Sarah.
Thank you, Dr. Nader.
All. Now, if you any questions, okay, Usman.
Yes, I wanted to discuss the upcoming webinar. I thought maybe Dr. Nader has suggestions or ideas regarding it. So as Lubaba proposed that it's going to be on the 1st of August, which is 6 or 7 days from now. And I wanted to run it by you and see if you have any suggestions or how we are going to go through this.
So this is a really good or great step, and what I think I understood from Lubaba that you assign some roles or some tasks for each member of you. If you can meet tomorrow, I think she said Sunday will be good. Let me know what time in that meeting. So the main idea is we want to divide the webinar into two sections mainly. One is the educational part, just go over what we collected the information from the survey and see what important items that you want to raise or highlight. See if that can be presented well. And then the second part will be open the floor for any active questions or discussion from the listener or audience, and hope for the best. I think it's a good area, good topic, and urgent topic in Sudan and in other areas here in the US also. If we can do something similar, that would be also a good option. I'm not sure how about like the incident of hesitancy or vaccine rejection or in the communities here, let's say in Arab communities or in Sudanese communities or Indian communities. I'm not sure if there are some studies there. So let's say if in Detroit area there is a big Arab communities there, if there are some studies to suggest there is a high percent of rejection or low acceptance of vaccine, maybe we can do the same webinar to this community, for instance, just. But that's a good project, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Okay, so when Lubaba follows up with the time of the meeting, we'll make sure to update you.
Sounds good.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. So do we have any questions or suggestions? Or maybe we can move to the, okay, Sarah.
I just have a question for Dr. Nader. I was talking to the Orange team that thinking about doing, conducting a systematic review. And I was just going to contact you if you can just kind of guide me toward the question that would be, I'm thinking of something about geriatrics and COVID effects. So I wasn't sure. I'm not expert, or I have no great knowledge in this area. If you can suggest for me a nice topic, that would be very helpful. I'm not sure whether I should contact you through email or what would be very convenient with you. That would be nice if you can just give us some help.
Sounds good. So we can talk about that after the meeting if you have time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, start sharing our experience.
Ali, I think you are far from the mic. Your voice is a little bit far.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Okay, so I'm sorry for inconvenience, but I'm using two devices at the same time uh, since the network connection is very unstable today because of the weather and so on. So last year we had a case report about dementia and psychiatric symptoms. Um, the patient was having multiple comorbidities, including Huntington disease, dementia, osteoarthritis, and many others. The patient was taking, I think, 9 to 11 drugs, and she was having multiple episodes of neuropsychiatric symptoms. So the patient received intraocular steroids for osteoarthritis management and for pain relief. And interestingly, the neuropsychiatric symptoms have subsided. Um, we have the case report prepared and we presented both at AMDA and AGS. I'm going to share with you our poster at AMDA first. So this was our abstract. It was a poster presentation. And of course, both meetings were virtual meetings. So Dr. Marwa last year, um, she presented this case report with the audio in a separate recording. And it was the poster and the recorded video. That was at AMDA. Okay. I'm going to share with you the video, which was submitted and presented at the AGS because it was a different story there. It was a recorded video with slides instead of poster, and the video the presenter presenting the poster. Anyway, this is the abstract. Minutes. So I don't know if you can be able to hear the video or not. Let me know.
State University, and I would like to thank our mentor, Dr. Nadir Abdulrahman, of the Department of Family Medicine. So our guest report is discussing if steroid joint injection can improve neuropsychiatric symptoms in patients with dementia. Pain is highly prevalent among older adults with dementia and is strongly linked to agitation and depression. Approximately 4 to 8% of the nursing home residents experience pain occasionally. Our case is an 80-year-old female. She is a nursing home resident for a long period of time with dementia and Huntington disease. She has a background medical history of depression, generalized anxiety disorder, osteoarthritis, and chronic right shoulder pain, which is refractory to analgesia physiotherapy. This patient developed new aggressive behavior outbursts toward the staff and especially noticed during her personal care.
Regarding the patient assessment and probation, she scored 12 out of 15 complete interview for mental status, which implies cognitive impairment. The patient health questionnaire score was 10 out of 27, Her physical examination was remarkable for reduced range of motion at the shoulder joint, and laboratory tests were all normal. Thus, the patient received intra-articular decubitrol for pain relief. Interestingly, her behavior improved significantly and returned to the baseline. 5 months later, she had the same sequence of events, but this time she had a partial response to intra-articular steroid. Despite being pain-free, she had remaining neuropsychiatric symptoms. After excluding other causes, we believe that this is due to progression of Huntington's disease. As a symptom, it reflects unmet medical need or psychiatric distress. So it is very important to thoroughly evaluate the patient to exclude and treat any comorbid conditions. Many studies have shown that there is a positive correlation between the level of pain and neuropsychiatric symptoms intensity and frequency. So our take-home message is that adequate pain assessment and medication is crucial and should be prerequisite when managing patients with dementia. This brings me to the end of the discussion. If you have any questions, we will be available on the pre-conference. So, this was the poster presentation at AMDA and AGS. Can you hear me well? Okay. So in general, the case report consists of a title, of course, and then abstract, if it's a whole case report. The vital parts are the introduction, the case description, and the analysis. But there are other parts like the hypothesis, methodology, and the references, of course. According to my understanding, the case reports are either something atypical from the existing knowledge or something new. And I believe that our case was something atypical in presentation and in response, and that's why we were accepted. Also, I would like to share that the titles are very crucial. If you go through the abstracts submitted last year at AGS, you find that the topics are, the titles are very catchy. I don't know if I can share with you some of the titles presented last year, but the most important thing is to write a title that's very catchy. So that's it. If you have any questions, please use the chat box or raise your hands. Thank you.
Go ahead, Khalid Osman, Dr. Khalid.
Yes, I'm sorry. I think this is from earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, anyone else? You have a question or comments? Okay. So, if there are no questions, maybe we can move on to the next part, which is the agenda for next meeting. Dr.
Actually,
Nadir, do you
maybe we
have,
can, yeah,
any
maybe we can,
additions or-
maybe we can discuss furthermore some of the ideas or suggestions for proposal and update of the current proposals. So if we go back to the same case presented by Dr. Ali, basically, when you are in residency, you are required to present some research work And one type of the research work is the case presentation, similar to the case that we presented. So the lesson I want you to learn is that hopefully when you start your residency, look at your patients carefully when you're treating them, and when you have an encounter with a unique case or unique treatment or unique management plans or options, and you found something interesting, maybe you can write that as a poster and submit it to one of the meetings. The other point I want to raise is also the same poster that we presented can be edited and published as a paper. What we did in the past, like we had a case similar to our case, let's say the dementia patient with arthritis, and we use steroid injection, and we found that maybe it will help. So the steroid injection itself, it's used and it has a good beneficial effect that sometimes lasts forever, or in some cases for 6 months, and you can repeat it if it's helpful in 6 months and so forth, and the insurance will pay for that. And in some small number of patients, it may not help, depends on what's going on there. So for instance, this case we presented as a poster, but we can work on getting it into a paper by writing about steroid injection use in a nursing home, for instance. We can review the publications in the literature and see how many papers talked about steroid injection in nursing homes, number one. And number two, how many papers used or talked about steroid injection in older adults, and then in patients with dementia. So if we can get all these papers and review them, we can do a systematic review, and then we put our case, and then with a systematic review, we can present it in educational paper, so that people who sees older patients or patients with dementia or patients in nursing homes, they can think about using steroid injection as an option for pain management in certain conditions like arthritis. And that's not, from my experience with the geriatricians that I work with, it's not commonly used. So mainly it's used in the clinic with younger patients or in orthopedic clinics with patients with non-orthopedic pain who sees or who are referred to an orthopedic surgeon. So, but for the primary care, for people who takes care of older patients, patients with dementia or patients in nursing homes, I didn't see it a very common management like with steroids. So maybe it's a good option to write a paper on that. And you can, in your paper, when we write, we can create a table talking about the incidence or whatever we find in the literature, if there is some. And also we can talk about the basics of this technique, what type of medication that we use in the injection. And we can create a table of which patients benefit for how long, something like that. So in the past, we used a case with patient with dementia with hearing problem, and they used hearing aid, and there is a problem with the hearing aid, and just the battery and the staff. So what we did, we presented the case, and then we talked about hearing aids in general, in all the patient, in patient with dementia, in patient in nursing homes. And then we looked at the market, see what type of hearing aids there, what each one, the main problems, and how to solve it easily, like any care taker can take care of that. So it was published easily because it's an educational paper. Sounds good. So I'll open it for you guys. Any questions or suggestion? Shima, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nadir, Dr. Ali, and the rest of the team for the presentation. Actually, I have an idea, and I want your suggestions or comments about it. It is mainly related to the oncology cancer in geriatric, which is prostate cancer. So the population will be mainly in Sudan. I actually, and mainly in Soba University Hospital. I think people who are in Sudan will know this hospital. So I have contacted the Department of Pathology there, the HOD of the department, and I thought about checking the taking the information from the histopathological report there. I have interest in pathology, so if someone also have interest in this would be great. So checking that in the histopathology reports, and maybe we can comment or we can see what is going on regarding the grading of the prostate cancer for the patient attending to the who was diagnosed in the hospital, and also the common histological type, histopathological types of the cancer among these patients. So actually the HOD was really helpful, and she's really was welcoming for this and supportive to provide us with data. The issue was that the data it's not in a software system. So it's found in files, kept it in file. So that's mean we need to collect this data. And she said the department can provide us with the data related to prostate cancer in the last maybe 2, 3, or 4 years. But this data we need to convert it into, create a form or Excel sheet to collect this data. And this will be an issue that we need team in Sudan to collect the data. The other thing was it's need an IRB, of course. So the proposal can be submitted to the research committee in SOBA, SCAR Center, the SOBA Center for Audit and Research. I'm not sure how much time it will take. Hopefully not that much for this. I also asked how, but I haven't received a reply yet about the size, the estimation size of the data, because I don't know, because it's need a really hard work for this to collect this data. She also spoke to me about that there is so many hospitals that have really great data and information about this, also including the central lab in Khartoum. But I'm not sure about getting an ethical approval from all these hospitals, but I know Soba University Hospital because I was working there and I know their system. So yeah, we can, because we can select maybe, I don't think we need to select an age, because not most of them, they will be 60 or 65 and above for patient with prostate cancer. So yeah, this is general. This is what I was able to collect during the last week. This general idea, maybe I need to hear from you, your comments, your suggestion. Maybe we can make it more interesting, comparing different variables or whatever. And I need to dig more deep in the literature to come up with which variable we need to look for, which data we need to collect, so we can create form something like this before starting the collection of the data. So yeah, any suggestion, any comments?
I can talk about that and we can discuss. Let me open the door for any other ideas or any other comments before we can discuss your great idea. This is a good one. Anyone else? Lina, and then followed by Abu Zar.
Hello, Dr. Nader. Hello, everybody. I'm thinking of conducting a systematic review about myocarditis and mRNA vaccine.
I didn't get the last, the myocarditis and which vaccine?
mRNA vaccine, Moderna and Pfizer
sure,
vaccine.
sure. Yeah. Excellent. Good idea. Want to elaborate on that? Yes.
I actually had this idea today, but while I'm searching the literature, there is multiple case reports, but including all ages, not specific to geriatric population. So I thought if we did a systematic review on this topic, that would be great.
I think it's a good idea also. So we can elaborate on that in a minute. Excellent. Abuzer.
Assalamu alaikum. I don't have anything to add, but I have to update you about what I did last week. So after you discussed the ideas with Dr. Shaima and Dr. Lina, I can take like 2 or 3 minutes to update you about what was done in the last week. That's it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Abuzer. Any other fellows, any comments before? Okay, let's go back to idea number 1, Shima, Dr. Shima. It's a great idea about talking with Sudan people there and starting collaboration with Sober University or the hospital, and other collaboration with other institutions. So the first thing I think we should focus on is what's the research question that you want to answer, because the data is, as you said, 2 to 3 years, that a big data set. And if you want to add more institutions and more hospitals, then the data will be huge. So the main idea is you want to come up with a question, thinking about what exactly you want to find, and look at the literature, see if that was answered. If it is answered, you have a couple of options. Option number 1 is to see if this is answered in a specific period of time. Let's say it was done similar to the idea that you are proposing. You want to study prostate cancer stage 3 in blacks or something like that. And you found that was already extensively studied in the 80s, let's say, or the 90s. So now we are 2 decades apart. Then you can say, hey, we can repeat the same and see if there is difference. Or they have done that, but in subset that's not represented with other. If they were done in Europe or US, but not in Africa, then you can say, I can repeat the same question, but in a different set of population, and see if you can come up with this answer to your question. So the first part is you come up with a question. The second part or step is to look at the literature and identify or refine your question and see what's in there and how you can add to the literature. Because what you want to do is you want to add something to the literature. So I think you have some homework to do. Regarding the paper or the data in paper and not in Excel or electronic format, that's a little bit of a hassle. You need 2 things, actually 3 things. You need to figure out how you can find a team who knows a little bit medical knowledge and they have time to spend to work with you. The other part is how you're gonna pay for them, because most likely if you find volunteers, that's well and good. If not, then you need to figure out how we can pay this. The third part, and that's what you should think about, is the time, how long it will take to accomplish this. If it's going to take long, let's say it's going to take 1 year to complete all the data, put it in Excel, and then you want to analyze that after 1 year, then I think you should discuss discuss this, think about something else, because you don't want to spend 1 year and then you start your project. The data collection will take longer because you want to submit in the form of poster or form of publication paper. And then comes, if you have all this in place and you find the people who work payment and time period is less, and you can do it, then you think about the IRB approval. And as you said, if it's in one facility, one hospital or institution, and they have their IRB, then you write your proposal, submit it to the IRB, see when they will come back to you with the answer about approved, not approved. So in this process, you can also find out what variables you want to collect and how you're gonna de-identify the name and information from patients, save the data, and so forth. So it's kind of, you need to work on identifying your question, refine that, and see what else you can contribute to the literature, and then the technical part of how you can do that safely in a timely manner approach. But this is a great idea. So let me know if I can be of help. Does that
Thank
make
you very
sense?
much. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much.
Sure, no problem. Dina, your approach, or the idea is to see if we can do a systematic review in myocardial infarction with mRNA vaccines, Moderna and Pfizer, which is
myocarditis.
Sorry, myocarditis,
Yes.
and vaccination, which is a good also idea. So again, the approach is you're gonna do the systematic review, so you can read more, which is good, and collect all these case reports, and then you can work on getting that. So it's a good idea.
Okay.
So see who is interested in from the fellows, create a team, and then assign which one should work on which area, and then you can get the rolling.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. No problem. Excellent. Excellent. Good job. Anyone else with other ideas, or we can go to Abu Zarif. Okay, let's listen. Let's hear from Dr. Abu Zarif. Go ahead, update us.
Okay, assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. So regarding the 3 projects that we are working on, last week we started pulling data from the systems, and we use the data from March to September 2019, and we are going to compare it with March to September 2020, so we can see the effect of pandemic. It might take time because there is a variable like lab tox results that I have to look every single autopsy report by myself to check out the lab results. So hopefully by next week it will be ready, I hope. Last week we had an idea also about suicide rate before and during pandemic. Also, we suggest to use the data from March, September 2019 and compare it to March, September 2020. And I spoke to my supervisor regarding this idea, and she agreed about that. And I was able to collect a data for suicide project, 2019 data, and maybe Monday or Tuesday I will get the data for 2020. So I think the project for suicide rate is ready to be studied or discussed or analyzed. But I don't have a team yet for this. I have Dr. Ali, Dr. Lubaba, and Dr. Hadil for now. So if anyone interesting to join this project, he or she is welcome. That's what I have now. So if you don't mind, can I share a screen regarding the Excel that for the data? Okay, thank you. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, so the data for suicide from March to September 2019. So what I'm going to show you that the Excel sheet and the variables that we need to use, and if anybody has any suggestions or any additions to these variables, that will be fine. And Dr. Nader, we need your comments and your suggestions for this Excel sheet as well. So the variables that we are going to use, like case investigation or case number, we are not allowed to use names or address. So we'll take every decedent as a case number, and the case status, if it is closed or if it is open, or okay, and the age of each one, the sex, if it is male, female, race, zip code, decedent's usual occupation, if they are work or unemployed, marital status, and education. So that's what I have right now. Dr. Nader, we need your suggestions, we need your comments, and thank you for everyone.
Excellent. So this is very good news. So at least we have some data, and we have the Excel file with the variables and the data, and you can work on the lab work. So still you can work on that in the near future. For the Excel files that we presented, this is good. So if we want to look at comparing, so the data is there now, and the next step is to analyze this data and compare. So basically what you want to do is you want to use, you can do it in Excel file, or you can do it in SPSS, put the data in, and then compare the incidence between 2019, 2020, and in each variable, and see if there is difference. If there are no difference, then you will say, oh, no big deal here. If you find some difference, then you want to investigate more and see what are the possible contributing causes or factors. And you can come up with some ideas or thoughts in that possible reasoning. So the best thing to do is to analyze the next part. After we analyze and all the data in place and the variable and the analysis, then we can think about getting this into poster format or abstract format and see which meetings or organization that we can target, so that we can submit our poster to them or to the meeting. So there are a couple of meetings in the near future and next year. So this is an area for you to study, also to figure out which organization or meetings, conferences that we can approach to present the data that can be accepted easily. So to do that, sometimes you need to look at the organization, let's say, and look at their next meeting, and then look at what the themes they are looking at or what their focuses will be. Most likely it will be containing some area for COVID. So if you present your data with COVID in your title, then most likely it will be accepted or at least matching their themes, if that makes sense. So any question, Abuzar, Dr. Abuzar? If you have, just send it via the chat. Sulafa, Dr. Sulafa, and then followed by Dr. Wian Osman. Go ahead, Dr. Sulafa. You are muted, sorry.
I'm sorry. Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Hello. So I'm interested in the project. Sorry for background noises.
That's all right.
So I'm interested in the project about eating habits and lifestyle changes during COVID-19 lockdown. So just I would like to ask if there is like certain age group I should focus on. This is my first question. My second question is it better to do it by survey, like SurveyMonkey, or to do meta-analysis if I found some researches on that topic?
I think you should take it backwards. You should look at the literature and see what's available there. And then depending on what you find, same question, if answer your question, then no need to go further. If there is no enough, or there is some you can use and reshape it or refine it to your need, then you can do a survey. And again, you can target certain group or you can make it general. So
general. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
and also one more question: should I consider the lifestyle, like eating habit and physical exercise, as variable, or like and put the BMI like general question, or I will leave it as it is?
That's a good question. So you can add this to your variable or your data, and again it depends on what you want to show or find, and what's your target group if you want to set them. If they can contribute to all this information, yes. So you can involve this or get this.
Okay, thank you so much. That was so helpful. And please, for other fellows who is interested, just contact me, and I will make like WhatsApp group to start this project.
Excellent.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you. All right. Yeah. Osman.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Nadir. Eid
Alaikum
Mubarak for everyone. My question is same like Dr. Sulafa. I mean, I showed the interest for the project, the role of activity staff in the nursing homes during COVID-19. So first of all, I would like to recruit anyone who is interested in the same project to contact me via WhatsApp. And my question to you, Dr. Nadir, because I see this is run in in many states. So do you recommend doing it in my home state like Texas, or do you recommend certain place, or just choose a nursing home nationwide? Can you give me an insight about this, please?
That's an excellent question. Thank you for raising this point. So the idea is to, if we have enough team members, let's say start with one small team and divide that group into tasks. Each one a member will have a task. If you want to work on a level like state level, I think that's the best approach. Let's say you want to start with your Texas. So what you can do, you can ask the fellows if some of you guys are interested, you can join Dr. Wihan, and then you can divide. I think each state has more or less, let's say, a couple of hundred or 500, depending on how big is the state, the number of nursing homes. And you can start with just making the list. Let me know, I can get you the list of, there is an Excel sheet with all the names of each nursing home in the United States, more than 15,000 somewhere. Anyways, we can sort that and just get the list of nursing homes in the state that you select, let's say Texas. So we can get that, and then depending on how many people in your team, you can divide that number and see. What you can do is you can call the nursing home, try to speak with the activity director or person of the team, and if you have the questionnaire, ask them to if they want to answer this question or not. You may find some people in these nursing homes that say, no, we are not interested. Some will be very open and collaborative, and they can answer your question. So if they say, no, we don't want you to answer your question, just put it next on that nursing home. If they answer, then we fill the questions on the questionnaire. So this is the approach. So the easy way is to select one state and work on that. You don't have to cover all the, let's say 400. You don't have to cover all the 400. You just do your best to cover as much, more the better. In last year, we worked on similar project. We selected only 3 nursing homes, but we have the data for the 3 nursing homes compared to the data with all nursing homes in Michigan State and all the data from nursing homes in the country, because the data is already saved by the government. So they did the work for us. In this project that we want to work on, I don't think there is a data set that we can get. It's doable in a different way, but it may take some further steps and digging into the data set. Each nursing homes nowadays is required to get their data in electronic format. So that's a little bit on the right direction when we compare it to like Shima oncology project or IDEA. At least we have the step, the data is electronically saved if we want to get into details there. But to answer your question, I think you need to create your team. Maybe you think about one state. For instance, you can take Texas state. Let me know. I will send you the Excel file with the data, contact information and address, and then you create your survey. What I think we can do as a group, we can repeat the same project and do it in a state where it was hidden, like hit by the COVID very hard. Let's say New York State was hit very hard, or you pick and choose any other state that was hit very hard, and you can compare one state versus the other and see if there's any difference of handling the activity side for these residents. So another team may be working on New York State. So with someone interested in that project in New York State, and a team with that person work in this area, contact as much as you can in these nursing homes and see. If you get the information from project number 2 and compare it with project number 1, you can either submit 2 proposal, 2 abstract to the meetings, or we can get a third poster comparing one state versus other state and see what people are doing, if there's difference between one state versus other. Does that make sense for you? Yeah. context.
Yes, thank you. It makes sense. And please, so this project was made last year. So can I get the questionnaire that you guys used for the last year?
We did. It's the idea is different. The approach is the same.
Okay.
What we look at what happens with patients in nursing homes, especially falls, let's say depression, anxiety, medication use, and we compare this from 1 year to next year, before COVID and after COVID, and all this data are
already there
in a data set that was used by the government. So we can approach any nursing home and tell them, hey, generate this report for us for this period of time. So they can do it easily. It's not going to take them a long time.
Yes.
If we want to do the same with this approach, we don't have that data set, but we have small, in each patient chart, there is detailed information about what they did with that patient on a patient level in electronic format. So if you want to go into digging deep and then collect data, that might be a different approach. It may take longer though.
Okay. Yes, but this idea that it was the one posted in the app, it was actually to see the role of the activity personnel, right? It's not like this deep data one.
Yes.
So
I'm not.
I would have to generate like a not generalized. Yeah,
so
like
I
a generalized
have,
questionnaire.
Yeah. So I have like a sketch questionnaire, couple of questions, 5 to 10 questions, and then I will submit that to you, and then see if you want to edit, move, remove, or add more questions with your team, and then see. My suggestion is if you're living near a nursing home in your area, maybe you can just call that nursing home and talk to one of the, if you have time to talk to the activity person there, and get them involved with your project, so that one of the community member will be involved and ask how this is our team, we want to do this, and these are the questions that we want to raise or get, and see if they have any additional something, and they can be part of your team when you present to a conference.
Yes.
So,
yeah, this is a good idea. Maybe I can approach one of the nursing home to help with generating or choosing the questions for the project. And I have one question for the team, because one team member approached Dr. Sarah Said for joining this project particularly, but they did not contact me via WhatsApp. So please contact me if you are still interested in this project. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Excellent. So we have a couple of raised hands. So Abdel Mahmoud, followed by Sarah, and then Jawad, and then Sulafa. You're still raising your hand. I'm not sure if you know. And then maybe Abu Zar later. Okay, Abdel Mahmoud, please. Dr. Abdel, go ahead.
Hello, Dr. Nadir.
Hello.
Yes. So actually adding to Sulafa and Iham, kind of interesting in this project, and I would like just to kind of make clarifications. So is it okay if you kind of focus of kind of sort of period of time? So I remember that there's kind of literature outside saying that during lockdown, when it locked down, so the people change the way that they kind of feeding themselves. So they go, change all the kind of nutritional habits, in addition to kind of cut down or shorten the way that they doing exercise or kind of going outside and work out. So what do you think of this approach for this project? Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. So maybe this is a great point, and maybe if you want to join with Sulafa in your team, you can discuss these variables and see what you can come up with. And again, as I said, look at the literature, what's there, what variables if you want to come up with your question and see. So it's a good thing. So maybe you can join the team. It's for instance. Or, okay, excellent. Sarah Deljawad, please go ahead. You are muted. If you started talking, we cannot hear you. Sarah. So when Sarah comes back, we can, in the meantime, listen to Abuzar. Abuzar, you raise your hand. Is it from before or you want to add something?
No, this is from right now. My question is for you, Dr. Nader. Regarding the Excel sheet that I have shared, do you have any addition, any suggestions? Do you think these variables are enough to start with? If you would like, I can share it again so you can have a look at it. You tell us about if we can add something or delete something, if you don't mind.
No, I think you can start with it and see what you can find. And depending on that, I think it contains very good information. I think the variables there. So why don't you start looking at it, analyzing it, and see? And no, good. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nader.
Sarah Abdel-Jawad, you raise your hand and you are muted. Please join us if you have questions or comments. So while she's trying to reach us, I know she's in Egypt, maybe she has some technical issues with the internet as well. I'm going to share with you an update that regarding the COVID vaccination and the recent Delta variant. So in the chat, I give you a link for a YouTube. It's a video from a doctor. I think he is in California. He's very active in updating information. I think he has a couple of very good videos, and actually he has many other videos in basic science and up to date as far as literature review and how he shares the latest findings and on COVID. So if you want, it's I think 15-16 minutes video. When you have a chance, you can look at that. It's also in our app. If you go to the videos here, it's called Medgram. I'm not related or benefiting from their website. They provide also free version and paid version of courses or videos, educational videos. But if you look at this one, and I think last week or a couple of weeks ago, also he talked about the Delta variant. That might be useful information for you guys when you get a chance. Adel Mahmoud, still you have a question or you raised your hand? If no questions, let's Ali talk about next week.
Okay. So before we go to the next week, time allows us, I'm asking about the topics that we will discuss tomorrow, next week on the vaccine awareness. We are thinking of focusing on the vaccines available here in Sudan, the importance and why we should take the vaccine, and also the current states in Sudan and worldwide. So these are the major topics. Of course, in addition to the misconceptions we received in the survey we had. Do you think of any other topic we should cover, or just that?
I think that's more than enough. I think at least to start with, I think that's enough. Depending on what questions you get from the participant or the audience, you can take it from there. I know some like increasing incidents in Port Sudan, for instance. So you may have some questions regarding this, but let's focus on the vaccine, what's available in Sudan, and how people taking it from their position if there is any hesitancy, and how we can handle this hesitancy. And again, some people might just say, I don't want it, that's it. So you try your best.
We'll discuss that more tomorrow. Now, next week agenda. So the next week, the meeting will be on the 31st of July. Sumi is going to lead the meeting. We'll check with her if she will not be able to attend, or maybe someone else. So the red team will present the data collection and management. This is the first part. And then the second part about exploring selection bias and errors. After that, we will discuss new project ideas and progress. The fourth part about SPSS data management, how to handle errors or missing data. So it should be 5 to 10 minutes. And the last part about Excel graphs. So the all parts will be conducted by the red team, I believe, right? We will assign each fellow a part on this agenda. Is there anything else you have any suggestions? I believe this is from prior question. The voice is not clear. I'm sorry. You want me to repeat, or?
I think the agenda, I think, is good. If there is any suggestion for adding or removing, or any question about the agenda for next week, or suggestions, please let me know. I think Dr. Mahmoud placed his hand from previous, if I'm not mistaken. Otherwise, if you have questions, let me know.
Okay, then I will discuss with the red team the different agenda for the next meeting, inshallah, and we'll be ready for the next meeting. Dr. Muhammad Yani, I think he's ready.
Assalamu alaikum again. It's just a suggestion. If it is possible to add some kind of a fixed session from now till the time for ERAS application, let's call it maybe ERAS best practice. Each week we can discuss something about what you need to highlight or shine, for instance, in your personal statement, selecting programs, establishing communications, and such kind of good tips maybe we can get from those who have the good experience in this area, if possible.
Excellent. So we can call it maybe ERAS preparation tips, or any skills that you can share, guys. Maybe 5-10 minutes. I think it's time for you guys to work on your personal statement if you did not start yet. And I think you also want to work on your CV. If you did apply in the last year, you know what sections they need. And if you did not, maybe you can ask some of your colleagues to provide you with copies of the RAS CV. If you have your CV from previous year, I think you need to see what areas you can improve on. Let's say you want to target now with publication. We are working on that as projects, but you want to work also on other part on your resume. So maybe some of you can work on giving us some tips or skills to improve that. So good suggestion. Thank you so much, Mohammed.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Nader, for taking this. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Dina also has.
I have a question regarding the letter of recommendations, Dr. Nader. If we can, yes, if we can approach some doctor to give us letter of recommendation, especially those us outside US. Like if we can work on them in specific research or do anything that we could.
Yeah, so again, just I want to reiterate that when you are working with us now, as far as you contribute and discuss on everything, we will write you a recommendation letter for your application through ERAS, no problem. So by joining us and working with us, you will be provided with a letter of recommendation. If you want to, let's say, get more than one recommendation letter, you can work in other projects with other teams, or like attending or physicians, or you can work with them actually like in clinic or hospital and then get them. To get a recommendation letter from the US, if you are overseas, I think it may take a little bit of hard work. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it needs some networking and collaboration and working hard with more than areas to show that you are really active and interested in, let's say, research or clinical work. Dr. Ahmed, he is at Mayo Clinic. If he works with you guys in certain areas, projects or so, and he finds that you are awesome and good, and he's comfortable inviting you a recommendation letter, that also might be a different option. So, thank you for the question, Lina. So we have 1 minute for the 4 o'clock, but we will continue. If you have anything, any other applications, please feel free. We are recording this session, so if you want to review that in the future, you can come to the see the recording. So I see Muhammad Tijani raising your hand. I'm not sure it's from before or not, and Abu Dhar also. Please go ahead.
I'm so sorry. That was for the previous question.
Fine. That's fine.
Dr. Nader, can you elaborate more about the recommendation letters, the quality of recommendation letters? Which one is strong and the best, that with a letterhead from hospital or from clinic or from the institutions that you are working with? So For me, I'm working at a coroner office, and it is a government institution, but it is not a hospital, or it is not. So if I could get letter from the pathologist that I work with, it is better to be with the pathologist head letters or the coroner office head letters. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. So the question it depends really on what area you're applying to, what interest in that area. Let's say you are interested in pathology and you're working with pathologists. Definitely, if you get a letter from a pathologist, it will make a huge effect when you're applying to resident program in pathology, for instance. But in general, if you are interested in applying to internal medicine, family medicine, or other neurology, for instance, you want to get a general letter. The better the writer in an institution, it's better if they are the head, like let's say in pathology. If you get a letter from the head of the Department of Pathology, it way much more compared to a pathologist who has a clinic. But at the same time, it's better if you get it from a pathologist who is with the university, for instance. So the same letter can come from the same specialty, but they look at what the position of that person, what institute for that person. Because if you go to a pathologist who has just his own practice, then it will help you, but not as much as if it comes from a university pathologist or head of the Department of Pathology, for instance. And if the person is well known in the field, let's say he is world known for whatever area, it also it will have a major impact on, like, when they look at the qualification for that person. So that's a good question. One part of the recommendation letter, I think we cover the aspect, the research aspect. So if we write to you a recommendation letter, we'll say that you are working hard with research and you are interested and you have done this and that. And another part is your personality or your characteristics. Like if you are a team player, you are continuously acting on your task and come on time, or professionalism and communication skills. Some aspects that they want to make sure when you join the residency, you are not a problem for them, because some of the applicants might not have the skill of communication, or might not have the skill of working in teams, or might not have the skill of listening to a senior, and that might be a problem when you are in residence, especially if you are first year, you are an old graduate and you join the program, and the second year residents are younger than you, and when they tell you to do something and you take it personally, I have been there forever, I know how to do this, then they can call the chief of the program director and say, hey, this guy is causing problems here. I'm telling them to do this. Finish the first year, I know what's going on here, and they tell me they know everything. And so, for instance, something like that. So the programs wants to make sure at least you are covered from certain aspects as far as character. The third and the important part is if you work in a clinic or hospital. I know last year and this year might be difficult with COVID and limitation in the US with clinical experience. Some people did virtual experience, but I don't think they will consider that as much. But that aspect of the letter, if you walked in a clinic or hospital and got a letter from attendant in the hospital or the clinic, that might also be helpful if you can get it. Thank you.
Thank you,
So
Dr. Nader.
You're welcome. Go ahead. Yeah, muted, Dr. Sulafa. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I thought Abu Zar want to talk. So, yeah, my question is if, like, also, could you please give us tips for, like, for research, like, if some of us are interested in public health and research career non-clinical pathway, also this will be highly appreciated.
Excellent. This is a great question. And actually, in the first batch, there are a couple of people or fellows who did or finished some other aspects, certificates or master classes. So what you can do is using what we are doing now to approach other aspects parallel to, we want you to continue and apply to Cerevas, and hopefully you'll get matched to a residency program. But as plan B, in case you don't match, then you have the option of doing another type of non-clinical work. So there are options. At MSU, we have Sumi. She is with our group. She's not in this meeting, but she is in the group. I think she is with a global health program. She is doing the certificate part, but I think you can get a master degree in that program. And the program director is very helpful. So if you want, any one of you can ask her about what exactly that program involves and takes. So you can take, what I suggest is you take one class, you will be as considered a student, and then you can
I can't hear you, Dr. Nader. Your screen is freeze.
Seems that Dr. Nader has lost connection. So we have to wait for him. In the meanwhile, if you have any comments or questions, I think Dr. Nader is back. Okay. So I see here that Dr. Lina Lameri is asking about more information about Dr. Ahmed. Dr. Ahmed Abdurrahim in Iran. Dr. Ahmed Abdurrahim in Mayo Clinic. Also, Dr. Lina Lata asking about who can work on a research project with doctors outside MCU. If these two questions can be answered without the presence of Dr. Nader. So, Dr. Samah, do you have a question that can be answered by us, or if you have suggestions? Or
Hello. Even you, Dr. Adil, your voice is breaking.
Okay, so we have Dr. Nader back here. So if you can unmute yourself, Dr. Nader.
Sorry about that. I have some technical difficulty here, but basically, if you want, you can get more information from Sumi. If you want, you can get more information also from Lubaba. She finished her degree also. I think these are two resources for you, but I think it's a good idea. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Nadir. This is so helpful. I am in second year in my master's degree of public health, epidemiology concentration. Yeah, but I will contact also Sumi and Lubaba.
Excellent. That's good.
Thank
you. You're welcome.
Okay, now maybe Dr. Samah can ask her question and then we will go to the chat box.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ali. Just I have a question for Dr. Nadir about the Arabic apps for old people. The ones that you sent for us. I see the whole data must be collected from California, Saudi Arabia, and Sudan. Basically, I'm residing in, I'm a resident in Canada.
Yes. So, but I think it's just it's a review. So wherever you are, I think it's just looking at the literature with the team and see if we can get information in that area and then submit it in that format and work with the team to get it submitted. So basically what we are doing or trying to do is we want to contribute and see if we can participate in the Arab National Association here in the US. So they have meetings every year, and the due date for accepting abstracts is August 15th. So if the team, for instance, is working on this project, can review the literature and get some information in that format and update that format, we can submit it to the
Arabic
association and see if they can accept that, and if they can and we are successful, then some of you might be able to present that actual, and this is why we approach some of you in California so that it will be easier as far as actual going to the conference. If it's virtual, that's in the past we did posters virtually. So thank you for the question.
So basically, it's presenting in California, though. The presentation will be in California.
The presentation will be in California, yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I was wondering why a lot of people are from California.
Yeah,
so I was thinking that they will collect the data from California.
Not necessarily, but it's a review of the literature, the whole literature, and then work on that. And then the presentation will be, the conference will be there.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Excellent. Ali, anyone else with questions? Okay. Ali, you are muted. You are muted.
Okay. So we have Dr. Lina Al-Umairi. Can you hear me well now? Dr. Lina Al-Umairi is asking about more information about Dr. Ahmed Abdelrahim, who's working in Mayo Clinic. And also Dr. Lina Al-Ata is asking about if we can work in a research project with doctors outside Michigan State University. And that's all.
So Dr. Ahmed, he is a nephrologist seeing patients in Minnesota, and he works with Mayo Clinic there. So if you want to reach him, I can provide you with his information. Let me know. Not sure if he is doing research right now. I asked him if he can ask people around him to see if there is any one or more interested in collaborating with us regarding working with research projects. So if we hear from him, and then we discuss it with you, the group here, and see who's interested, and then you can approach them. If the other question about collaborating with other institutions beside Michigan State, yes, absolutely. We can collaborate with any institutes here in the institutions here in the US or outside overseas. So at this time, we don't have in the future, hopefully, we will have good connection, and then we can expand our research projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nader, for the elaboration. I think that's all the questions we have for today. So, anyone else having a question or suggestion, or should we close this meeting now? Okay, I don't see any raised hand. So thank you all for attending this meeting. I'm going to send the meeting minutes in the coming days. So have a nice day and see you next day. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Have a great day.
Thank
Bye.
you,
Thank
everyone.
you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
everyone.
Dr. Man.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all.